Gay Africa turned out to be a group of people who are being identified by politicians for ruthless persecution. Let anybody in this room have no doubt about it. Gay, lesbian, and transsexual people in Africa are facing serious persecution. They're being expelled out from the nightclubs and pubs. They're facing mob justice. They're being refused jobs. They're being denied any just basic opportunities. They're being kicked out of family houses. It is serious. Now, but as you say, as my friend here said, Africa is such a diverse continent. There's so many different people of different backgrounds with different beliefs. And it is this diversity that is being exploited by the politicians, and in most cases for selfish ends. There is a deep-rooted culture of non-tolerance, basically, in African communities. And that is what we need to be focusing on. How can we prevent the gay people from being persecuted, from being taken as scapegoats? And that is what I have to say. Thank you.
Gay revolutionary. Where's our gay revolutionary? Because they're threatening the death penalty. In Uganda, in Kampala, in Kenya, it's 14 years in prison for being a lesbian.
So where's our Harvey Milk, or someone of that ilk, to take on this mantle, bring power to the homosexual?
In Nigeria, we're seen as inferior. Is straight really superior?
Please, gay is not a disease. It's an ancient right, sometimes out of sight, but always there. Where's our history? It's been kept from me.
Don't have an icon. My history's been stepped on. Living in a shadow, parlor or gay bar on the streets of San Francisco where the men go hand in hand, no one will stand and stare. It's allowed there.
We got a gay bishop, but still no civil partnership for the same-sex relationship in California or New York. Ohio, though, it's okay. It's hard to be gay.
But South Africa, today I met the Gender Commissioner's daughter. They respect same-sex, sex. They know what it's like to discriminate, legislate hate because of how you're born. They don't keep school, don't call it a choice, hear the gay voice. They don't say it's a disease, something to be cured. Being gay isn't something you learn. In Africa, the anti-gay laws are colonial, yet politicians say banning gay resists the Western way.
Now it's the US evangelical, drafting a new anti-gay bill advocating capital punishment as if thou shalt not kill wasn't a commandment.
So where's our gay Gandhi, our Mandela Nancy, the gay Shay, our Martin Luther Queen?
I suppose we've got Elton.
Or can't forget Elton.
Stephen Fry, what a guy. Good for entertainment, not for parliament.
Unless we're concerned.
There's a moron.
They want us gone.
Let's make a stand.
Don't let gay be banned.
My origins are in the Caribbean, and the Africans that came there were specifically from West Africa as well, so it just makes it even narrower. That we need to think about language and origins, and I'm always having these discussions with BC and Paul, who's here. I think about the origins of language. And I'll just say a little story. I was fortunate enough to work with some Somali women making a film about pregnancy. And one of them came up to me and she said, "You're a wilo." And I said, what's a wilo? She said, "You are one." And it was my first experience of somebody from outside of a European context having a word for a woman, actually, because a lot of the discourse is dominated by male homosexuality, a woman who was masculine. And I was just like amazed. Oh my God, you have a word for it? And having a word for something which is not European implies an experience that is intrinsically traditional and from a particular part of the diaspora, in a way. We have words too in the Caribbean, Zami, Man Royal, you know, Wicca. These are words that we use. So, for me as an artist, I'm a filmmaker, by the way, it's always a struggle when I make queer work to queer the diaspora in my work, because very often our identities are dominated by a very Eurocentric and often imperialistic notion of what homosexuality is. And Bissy and Jide, I agree with them in that, you know, the very notion of a homosexual identity as kind of political wake-up call is very recent in Europe. It is not ancient in Europe, you know. Before the words gay or LGBT, there was just behavior. People got married and they had gay behavior, which was closeted, and you could get arrested for it. So, you know, this notion that Europe is so, you know, advanced or has a specific history, the history of homosexual behavior is international. Whether people have words for it, whether they legislate against it, or it's taboo, it is another thing. And I personally feel very uncomfortable. I'm not downplaying what you said about the terrible situation in Uganda, but we also have to remember it's not ideal anywhere for anybody who's gay. Even if we have legislation in the UK, there are certain areas in London I would not walk down the road with another holding hands in London. And, you know, let's not kind of make out it's so fantastic here. In another way, and legislation doesn't change people's attitudes over time, and with love, I think, that helps if we change in our own little micro world. We come out to our family and friends, that's one way of changing.